Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blanks and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast
with your host, Jordan Giles.
And Shay Northrop. Today we're going to talk to you guys about some sketch shows that you should check out. These are ones that are currently running and ones that are no longer running. God rest their souls. Now, to start off the show, we're going to break the ice a little bit. We are going to ask...
Do we have any that are running still?
We have a couple.
Really?
Yeah, Portlandia and Documentary Now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know about Documentary Now. That's more of a mockumentary thing. We'll get into it. When we talk about it,
I think it's a comedy show worth mentioning on
Yeah,
here. It's a notable mention at the very least. We're also going to talk about Weekly Westworld. Of course, you guys wanted to hear that. Westworld, man. It's the best.
Oh, man.
Such a good start.
Can't
Such
get
a
enough.
good show. Such a good show. Now... I wanted to open this up. We talk so much trash about television shows. We're just like
I feel like
filling
I'm generally
up the bin,
supportive. I'm like a good friend. Even if I disagree with something, I'm like, well, that's okay. You guys are going to get better.
Oh, okay. You're kind of nicer about it. I can fill up a dumpster with the trash that I talk about a lot of these shows we get on here.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that.
And a landfill, mind you. So since we're so critical and since we are critics of television and we're giving it to you guys, we're going to have you guys judge us on show ideas we might have. So what we're going to do is we're going to pitch a show idea and see what you guys think. So why don't you go ahead and pitch your show idea first, Jordan?
Can I hear yours first?
No, you always go last.
Well, I know, so let's not break tradition now. In a world where it's the future, but not just the future, it's the distant future. People have phased out violence because it's not cool anymore, and they've decided to fight their problems and anger through one means: chess.
Is this chess boxing?
No, it's chess future. Sir, you have been accused of stealing from this woman's store. How do you plead? It doesn't matter how I plead, sir, because I'm about to get a checkmate. In a world where all tensions are solved through the intelligence and wit of playing chess.
Is this a police procedural?
One man, Officer Downs. Officer Downs, professional chess player, at your service. What can I do for you, ma'am? Well, you see, sir, there's been a murder here, and while we're sure it's an accident because violence has been phased out in the distant future that we live in, we'd still like to do some investigating. Well,
what was the name of your main character?
Officer Downs.
Little did Officer Downs know that not only would he be playing a metaphorical chess game with with the murderer, he would be playing a physical chess game too.
This doesn't make any sense. Why is there a murder in a chess world? So, Officer Downs, in order to interview this woman, I'm going to need to bring you into questioning. Take out your game pieces because they interrogate people also with a game of chess.
She's playing chess really poorly. She must be lying.
That's exactly the point. She's not playing chess good enough.
No,
you better start telling the truth.
I'm just legitimately not good at chess.
Doesn't work like that. You see, in the distant future of Officer Downs, people all can play chess very well. But a good way to tell if they're lying or if something's on their mind is to see how well they're playing the game of chess.
Ha! You moved your rook to e7. I know something's up.
Darn it, it meant to be an e6, but there's something on my mind or I'm lying about something. You figured me out.
Okay, so I had an idea.
I'm not done.
Oh, please continue.
Everything's going fine in the chess world beyond the murderer, but that's just not all that's on Officer Downs' plate. He has to navigate future New York being a single dad to a pair of orphan robots. Robots that were programmed to be chess champions but malfunctioned and were left in the gutter the futuristic dumpsters, you would say. So now he's taking them in, and while solving crimes with his robot orphan boys, he teaches them moves to play chess again so they can reactivate and become the chess champions they were meant to be in order to reignite the sun with chess knowledge.
Of course, in order to be a completely fully functional citizen, chess is like required. So I think that's where he's going.
Well, no, we've genetically enhanced our minds. The part of our brains that play chess has been enlarged so much where everyone's great at chess.
What about
and we've used that to solve all of our problems.
What if like in season 3 they introduce like 3D chess, like the chess they play in Star Trek?
No, it turns out that they're all part of a simulation. They're all pawns and rooks and queens in a real life chess designed by people in a much more distant future.
Now, what network do you think would pick this show up? I feel like ABC or CW.
The Learning Channel, TLC, coming soon to TLC.
PBS.
I think this is a CW show. What do you think?
I think ABC would pick this up in a heartbeat. You would just have to have some really, really attractive actors and actresses.
But that's not all. A dimensional rift opened up, and Disney characters were put into the mix. Well, I'm Snow White. I don't know much about chess.
She's lying.
Chess Busters of tomorrow.
Maybe you just have your own channel, the Chess Channel.
The Chess Channel.
Now, one that I had an idea for.
Wait, can you tell me? Can you Rotten Tomatoes me? Can you IMDb
Oh
me?
man, like you would be getting it like a 16 out of 100.
Wait, so it's not good? You don't like my idea?
I'm just being honest with you, bro.
You don't think that would turn out to be a
I
success?
think Rotten Tomatoes would give it a 16. I think that IMDb would give it a 7. And I think Metacritic would probably give you like a 56.
So, it's not that bad.
Robert Egrid would probably give you a 1.5.
Robert Egrid?
Robert Ebert would give you a really low score. He always gives low scores.
Robert Egrid, the bird TV show. That's my next idea. It's a bird that reviews television, and yet no one understands how, but he does it more eloquently than the master poets.
Okay. For a guy who didn't really want to go first, you sure had an elaborate story there.
And I know, and it sounded for some reason so improvised. I don't understand it either.
So I had an idea for a show. We have this little Puerto Rican guy, right? He's like in
you
his
know what
mid-20s.
I'm going to ask you.
What?
Why? Okay, no, I'm going to let you go a few more sentences.
Because so he's living in normal society, and he's kind of like very, very focused on structure and society, and he wants to be a good citizen, and he's trying really hard, but he's been having some trouble with like jury duty and like the basic government problems like the DMV and stuff like that. Well, one day a violent revolution happens, and he locks himself in his basement for like 2 years, and he has like just enough.
Is he in America?
Yes, in America, and he has just enough supplies because he's like prepared for this moment. He has just enough supplies to last him for 2 years.
He's also a doomsday prepper along with the structure. People that are doomsday preppers don't seem to normally be loving the structure of things right now.
So well, he's just prepared.
Yeah,
okay. Like a good citizen should be.
I'm sorry for punching holes in something right
well,
after
no, like,
my chest
I mean,
future.
The people who love America, right, are usually doomsday preppers, right? Like a lot of doomsday preppers are like, especially back in the 50s, were just good old boys, right? Like you know, hardworking citizens, right? And so,
can I change the name of my show?
What's the name of your show?
Pawn to Rookie. Go on.
Anyway, I like that name. So anyway, he comes up out of his like pit 2 years later, out of his little hole. And he starts to realize like nothing is on flames. Everything is just peachy.
Nothing is on flames. Nothing
is in flames. There's like a road crew patching up the the concrete, and he just kind of potholes and stuff, and
how's
there's like
the road
collective
crew dressed? Are they dressed like normal?
No, of course they're in black with like the anarchy symbol
and like insane clown posse makeup.
They've got spikes and everything.
The future's controlled by juggalos in the year 2018.
He just wakes up and realizes like there's no government. He starts meeting people and he's like talking to them, and like he just realizes that like everything is just perfectly status quo without a government, and that we never actually needed one. And so like he's kind of like lost because now all of his structure is gone, and he starts to realize that the world is a better place. And then as time goes on, he just gets better and better and realizes that like hey, anarchy's not so bad. and he starts to realize that he is actually better off in this society. And every episode starts with like him remembering something awful he had to deal with in the government, being waiting in the DMV line or having to serve jury duty.
You're still so personal.
For a town that he doesn't even live in across the nation.
Didn't you have jury duty? I feel, is this based on a true story?
And then like I think somewhere around season 2, like things actually do start going to like, you know, he's got his little group of friends and everything, and things actually do start getting like really crazy and very Mad Max, and he just realizes that he's a really good survivalist after all, and that maybe life is better this way.
Okay, so the question I had originally, I was going to wait until you finished. I thought you would answer it, but you didn't. And now I'm still going to ask it. Why is the boy Puerto Rican?
Because can you name one show that stars a Puerto Rican as the main protagonist?
Don't high road me. I'm asking why there specifically needs to be a Puerto Rican.
That's specifically the reason.
You still don't like seek it out. Like, no, he has to be. What, does there have any purpose to that?
No, it's just how I imagine him.
Don't make me look like the bad guy for asking why you like just chose something so strongly.
I feel like that's the way I imagine him. Like I have a specific there's a YouTuber that I really like that I feel like fits this character personality like perfectly.
Okay.
So, have you ever heard of Chris Ray Gunn?
No, and I won't look him up, I promise.
Yeah, no, you probably hate him. I think most people probably would hate him. I don't know why I like him.
I already hate him. I hate him so much.
But this would be like the kind of show that nobody would pick up because they're just like, I think the government would get mad at us for this.
I think that it would be more just can I say it because both of ours aren't good?
What do you think they would rate us? What do you think Rotten Tomatoes and all of them would give me?
I feel like if you took it less seriously, I would have given you a higher score. But I felt like there was some heart in there.
Well, there's heart, but then there's also humor, right? Like it's like Shay humor, where there's heart to it, but then there's like some really chuckle moments to it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that was funny.
I would say I'd give you a 6D
on Rotten Tomatoes.
On Rotten Tomatoes.
What do you think IMDb and Robert would give me?
I'd give 1 thumb up. Okay, so we've done that. Do we have enough time? Can we put together our own show together?
Let's see. So we have
almost like a generator. Like
we're at 12 minutes. I think we should go to break, and when we come back, we should quickly put together a show.
Okay.
Then we'll get to set shows you guys can should check out, and then Westworld. So please stick around. We're gonna come up with a cool show for you guys.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's GSMCpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast. I'm your host Jordan Giles, and I'm stepping here with the late great
Shay Northrop.
Okay, not so late, but still just as great. He's still here with us. We were going to go ahead and make up our own show, so I guess let's try our best and see how this works.
Why don't you start us off?
All right. In a world where animals are robots.
kittens have taken over North Korea. It's an army of kittens.
When does this take place?
In the future.
In the future?
Yeah, they have laser claws.
In 2019.
They have laser claws.
All right, so kittens taking over. Robot kittens taking over North Korea in 2019.
Mm-hmm. Mankind is hidden underground.
Mankind's hidden underground. So they didn't really take over. They just had land that was there because all of mankind's already
underground. Well, hey, kittens could have taken over. There are other animals in North Korea.
Yeah, no, so
they're bears,
which would also be robotic. So in a world where everything's robotic and humans have fled underground. Oh, this is actually sounding cool to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, kittens have taken over North Korea, so
let's
I don't know.
not give anybody any more ideas because we can work on this our own and make a brilliant Sundance-winning script. So, in the meantime, let's get on to the big part of the show here. Let's talk about some sketch comedy
shows to check out. Now, one of the ones, and you guys, it's a little bit late now because Whitest Kids You Know ended in 2012, but if you ever want a good time, I would highly recommend going and checking it out. It was on Netflix for a little bit. I don't think it's on there anymore, but you can check out most of their sketches on YouTube. It's a group of comedians, Trevor Moore specifically, got together and they would do a show just completely derived around them, and they have all kinds of really, I guess they're kind of offensive sketches.
Oh yeah, They've got some offensive ones in there, too. I mean,
yeah, and it's kind of done in a tongue-in-cheek kind of way where it's almost ironic, but at the same time, it's a little bit offensive.
Yeah, so, I mean, in it they have Trevor Moore, and they have a lot of people. They even got their own movie, Miss March. I don't know if you guys remember
that's pretty good. One of the things is, like, Trevor Moore started out with a comedy show on, like, public television, and it got canceled, actually, because it was too much for people. And so then he actually went to film school where he found like Sam Brown and Zach and some of the other guys that are on the show. And it's really funny because they did like they did like raps together before the show got started. And the reason they got called the Whitest Kids You Know is because they did a freestyle rap session on a subway, and one of their friends said that they were the whitest kids they know. So that's how it like got the name of the show. It's kind of interesting. If you really want something worth your time, I highly recommend The Whitest Kids You Know.
Can I say that Trevor Moore, his parents were actually former Christian folk rock singers.
Really?
Yeah, and they were pretty successful in the 1980s with their single Love Song for Number 2.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they ranked as the number 2 Christian rock song in the USA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've probably heard that song at some point.
I'm sure. Me being from the South, I have too. But yeah. So Trevor Moore was a hilarious guy.
He still does stuff, and he's
still
still touring.
Does, yeah.
He's got a couple albums out. If you really want to listen to some kind of funny music, I recommend giving him a listen.
You know, Trevor Moore also, he was not Trevor Moore. Whitest Kids You Know. That was one of the shows that I kind of grew up with. Just like. It really did influence me watching it. I thought, well, this is the funniest thing on television.
Right.
And when it's not funny, it only takes 3 minutes for it to become funny again, you know?
Right. Like, I remember there was one because there a lot of people like to say that it's a lot like the old show Monty Python, right? The Monty Python show. And it's funny because they actually wrote one of the writers of Monty Python like, hey, do you think you could write us a sketch? We have a sketch show. It's on IFC. Could you please maybe like write us something so we can do it? It would be really cool to collaborate. And they sent them a rejection letter, like a rejection letter. And there's a scene where they're sitting down at a table just reading the rejection letter, and that's the skit. And they're like, "There's your Monty Python skit."
They were very clever about things, and then they ended their show with the Civil War on drugs.
Yes,
which was hilarious to me. It was a show that, like, every once in a while there was an episode and I just didn't feel too strongly about it. But that's the beauty of sketch comedy, right? I mean,
it's
the next one can be just as great. Everything's hit and miss.
You know, and some of their earlier seasons were really funny. Their earlier seasons are a little bit harder to find, unfortunately.
I think that I got them all on iTunes. That's helpful for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
nice.
European History, 1776. Did you remember that? That was one of the first episodes for it.
No.
Oh, they never.
I haven't seen much of season 1. I've seen most of season 3, season 4, and season 5. Like I didn't get to see much of season 1 and 2.
Well, you're gonna have to come over. We're gonna have to make a viewing party out of that because that was a really fun
Sounds
show.
like a good
Still
idea.
is.
Now, what's a sketch comedy show that you would recommend to the audience?
I would say one of my favorites is That Mitchell and Webb Look.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Have you seen a lot of it?
I've watched a little bit, and some of it I think you've actually shown me.
Yeah. So the people who made Peep Show, David Mitchell and Robert Webb,
Yeah, they're great.
they're hilarious. Yeah, they have their own sketch show, and it lasted 4 seasons. And some of the funniest stuff I've seen. And this is a British sketch show.
Yeah.
Just so you know, there's definitely a different style to it. But I feel like some of the most clever things I've seen in sketches, like, oh God, how could I have ever thought of that? That's so funny. Like the very first episode, it had the adventures of 2 superheroes that were partners together. The BMX bandit, who has all these cool BMX tricks and can do all these great things with a BMX bike, and also the angel summoner, who can summon hordes of angels to fight for him. And, I mean, like, they do such a great job just making things, it's either like so clever or it's spot on, like, oh yeah, that's perfect. So I think Mitchell and Webb, I think that might be my favorite sketch show that I've seen. It's something that I can watch over and over again. And for those of you that love sketch comedy, they even have their own recordings. They have a radio show.
Oh, really?
That Mitchell and Webb Sound, which you can also find on iTunes. And listen to that. It was so much fun, too. I can listen to that on an entire road trip. I was about road shift, back and forth, just listening to the same stuff. I think there are things, they have the ability to kind of keep making you laugh as you go through. You know what I mean? Like, it has a lasting effect. It doesn't get old.
Now, one of the shows that I find kind of hit and miss in the sketch world, do you watch a lot of Portlandia?
Yeah, I love Portlandia.
I like Portlandia for some of their sketches, but then it's one of those shows that it'll either be like really, really funny or kind of, okay, that was kind of funny. So this has Carrie Brownstein and Fred Armisen, and it's the show, and it's just kind of revolving around them. There are a few other characters in it. One of the guys from Twin Peaks is actually frequently in the show as the mayor, and seeing those two do the same thing over and over again, it gets a little old over time, but the more recent seasons have really picked up. You know, they've kind of gotten more sketches. They're doing a lot of... What were you going to say?
Let's recommend, for those of you that are like, oh, what sketch show should I watch? One sketch that you can look up yourself, watch it, and see what you think for each one. Like for That Mitchell and Webb Look, if I can go back, Numberwang. Google Numberwang, watch the Numberwang sketch. There's several of them. That would be my one just to get you started. Really, if you just watch an episode, that's going to do it for you. But
The Grapist for Whitest Kids You Know.
I feel like that would, yeah, that's
like the funniest one.
That was the funniest one for you?
It's up there. It's up there. That was the one that got me.
Hey, The Whitest Kids You Know, that's so hard to pick from. There's so many funny.
The Grapist one's the one I usually show people first because it's one of the ones that anybody can get behind. Either that or Sex Robot.
Sex Robot, I remember that one. That's very absurdist, where it's just
he's made of sex, sexing up your town.
I have to we have to throw a disclaimer in with sketch shows. Not safe for work. Some of the stuff with the language,
not safe for work, not safe for your kids.
There was also the teaching a whale to jump out of his tail. I think that was one that was really fun for me. That was one that I would show everybody. Because it was so long and it just felt like it kept building up and it didn't lose any momentum.
No. So with Portlandia, I think Women and Women First is my favorite.
Me, it would be from one of the first season. Put a bird on it.
Yeah.
Put a bird on it was. So fun story about that. I saw that and I loved it so much, and I was working at the courthouse at that time in Louisiana, and so I got like 20 packs of bird stickers, and after showing everybody else, it was like a program, for use to go work there. Mm-hmm. We just started putting bird stickers on everything in that courthouse. There were bird stickers on the phone, bird stickers in the bathrooms. There's bird stickers on all 5 floors of the courthouse. And to this day, if you go to the courthouse there, you'll still find an occasional bird sticker put on somewhere.
That's hilarious.
Well, yeah, everybody. We didn't do it like vandalizing. We asked, mind if we put a bird sticker here? And I feel like they said yes, but at the time I feel like if they knew the sheer amount of bird stickers that we had, they would have said, actually, limit it to, because they've taken down most of the bird stickers, but you'll still see one pop up every once in a while.
That's funny. With Portlandia, like I said, some of their sketches are hilarious, and some of them I don't think hit the mark as much. Later on, it got a lot better. Another show that I really like, I don't know if you could call this a sketch show. I've talked about it before, the Snuff Box.
Ooh, Snuff Box. You actually showed that one to me.
It's kind of a sketch show, but kind of not, because it's linear, and the characters all interact with each other.
Well,
but
that's
there's
also
like
kind of like
sketches
Mr.
in it.
Show, which is something we can get
Right,
to.
well, Mr. Show is great.
Yeah, I'm really glad you liked that one.
I loved it.
So it's one of those things where each sketch will connect to the next one. It'll be like point A, if sketch A doesn't make sense with sketch C, but sketch B makes sense with point A and point C.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like, speaking of pizza, here's that same pizza guy in his own sketch.
Now, I think my favorite one from Snuffbox, though, is the girlfriend test. So it's like, it's set up where you've got the main character, and he's sitting down to lunch with a lady, and it's going really well, and she's like, I think I really like you, and he's like, I think I like you too. We shouldn't kiss until we get married, which should be tonight. And then he goes on this long list of things.
I can kill a pig and you can cook it. I don't know if you can cook, but
I'll kill it with a stick. And then, he's got like this long list of things that would just scare anybody away. She gets up and leaves. And so you've got your DMD driver come up, and he's just like, now what did you do wrong? And he's like, I guess I said kill a pig with a stick. And he's like, yeah.
Hey, you did that right. You did the I like you part, okay?
Yeah.
But I have everything after that.
And that's
really...
like a reoccurring theme in the first episode. Like there's one where he's letting this lady out of his car, and he's like, I think I'll wait here and see, if anybody comes up on you. It's a bad neighborhood, so I'll wait here till you get in your house. And so he's sitting there, and these 4 guys come out in ski masks, and she's beating them all up with martial arts. And he's just sitting there watching, eating popcorn. And then, he waves to her, she waves back, and she goes in the house, and then he pops up from behind the scenes like, now what did you do wrong? You waited for her, which was good, but then she got attacked.
That was a lot of fun.
There's a couple other ones. The guitar skit's pretty funny, too. What other shows would you recommend?
Do we have time, or are we about to have to go?
We have a little bit of time.
I was going to say Mr. Show. I think that's a staple of it all. That's a hard one to pinpoint what sketch I would recommend.
There's a lot in there.
I like the lie detector test one. I think that
one's pretty funny.
I showed you that before we came in. So Mr. Sketch also, each sketch is kind of connected to each other. And they even released a comeback with it on Netflix, a few episodes with Bob and David. So
nice. If
you want to see Bob Odenkirk from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, and David Cross from, so many different things. He's been on a lot.
Those guys are busy dudes.
They're very busy dudes, yeah. Definitely check out Mr. Show.
Honorable mention, check out Documentary Now.
Documentary Now by that one
has Fred Armisen from Portlandia. I like it way better than I like Portlandia.
Bill Hader.
And
it's not necessarily a sketch show. It's just a series of mockumentaries on documentaries that you may recognize, such as Hero Dreams of Sushi, such as Grey Gardens.
Grey Gardens was the best.
Did you like? I think Juan Likes Rice and Chicken was my favorite. But did you get to see that one yet?
I haven't watched much of season 2 yet.
Juan Likes Rice and Chicken. Have you seen the original Hero Dreams of Sushi documentary?
No, I have not.
I was showing Tony, the girlfriend, and I was showing her, and we watched the entirety of Hero Dreams of Sushi just so we can see Juan Likes Rice and Chicken and just appreciate it in its entirety. I think it's a show that does such a great job of talking about different, documentaries that it's worth watching the documentary they're making fun of.
Oh, yeah.
Just to get it. And that really says something.
Oh, yeah. And I love the way they open it up, too. Like with the lady presenting.
Helen Mirren, yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Good stuff. Now, we are coming up on a break. When we get back, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about Weekly Westworld.
Sounds good.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching.
Hey!
The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch, whatever it may be.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast. I'm here with Jordan.
I'm here with Shay Northrop.
And we're going to talk to you guys about some Westworld.
So Westworld, everybody knows about that, right? I mean,
oh yeah. Anybody
that's listened to the show for more than 2 weeks, I mean, we can't stop talking about it.
So good. Well, the most recent episode is episode 5, and very, very interesting. I think, what's it called? Many people are calling it the orgy episode.
I think that's an accurate name.
Now, I watched this with my friend Josh, and he's really into the whole... He likes Westerns and stuff, but he's really into the whole science fiction thing. He made a science fiction short film, for gosh sakes. And he loves Westworld, and even coming into it at this point, he's still able to follow what's going on. He's only watched episode 1 and 5. And one of the things I think is really interesting about this episode is sometimes you forget that you're watching a science fiction show. Sometimes I feel like I'm just watching a Western, and then I realize, oh, wait, those people that guy just killed, they're not real.
I think, yeah, it really goes to show how immersive the world is, that you're not even in this fun little game that they're playing, and it still feels like you're watching two different things at the same time.
I think one of the coolest things about it is the fact that, like, differentiating between the real world and the fake world can be a little bit trying at times. Like that scene where they hold up that caravan of nitroglycerin. For a minute, I was like, whoa, this is really dark and deep, and this is really showing the characters' true colors. But then I realized, wait a second, only 2 of them are real.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, like, there are these constant questions that we're not really so sure about. Like,
well, I think that really also takes into you take into consideration what is real in this show. I mean, because you have people like Dolores, which is a robot that is becoming very it's a self-awakening for her.
Well, and even the owner of that bar / brothel, she's becoming very self-aware, and she keeps getting hit in the same spot because she's hurting herself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the episode with the bird and her, and it was crazy.
So several characters in the show are starting to kind of realize what this world is, which is nothing real at all, and they're starting to become aware of their own, surroundings, of what people are saying. Whereas before they weren't they were programmed to just ignore anybody saying, "Oh, this is such a neat park" or whatever. Or,
right.
Oh,
well, there's also
look how real they look.
A question to be begged in this episode is, how far can the robots go to hurt you?
Yeah.
That's something. There's a lot of little details we don't know, like what exactly these robots are made out of. If you were to strip them down, what do they look like on the inside? Like, there's a lot of different theories and themes that we just don't really know. Like, we see that part where what's his name was getting strangled by one of them, and then they're beating him up. Like, how far can they take it with you?
Well, I think that as we saw through whenever the guy was getting locked up in jail, the Man in Black, that they kind of are aware of what will happen, and that they'll kind of, we'll keep him in there for 2 days and then we'll let him out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I think that they're constantly, like, taking things to the edge as far as they can go, but eventually will stop.
Kind of like how in that weird news episode we were talking about that haunted house. It's kind of the thing I'm feeling.
They can't kill you, but
they can hurt you.
They can definitely hurt you. And as they were mentioning before, the further they get out of the center of the park, the more dangerous things become, the more wilder they become. Yeah. And that's as we saw from the town of Pariah, which, wow, it's so cool to see the different civilizations inside this park and seeing how big it really is.
Well, and it's great to watch Dolores unfold. We get to see her in the parade, start to kind of get a better picture of what's going on with her, and then like that whole sit down with the voodoo lady was a very interesting. We're starting to get to know a little bit more about that gentleman and his coworker, and how his coworker is really just kind of a scummy dude.
I think that what's really interesting about everything just everything about this show that just makes me go, oh, holy crap, is the whole idea that this is getting bigger and this is getting epic. And with each character that they're introducing and they're giving screen time to, there's not somebody that I'm like, oh no, enough of him, I'm getting tired of him.
Oh, exactly. Every single character.
I'm so interested in everybody. They're pulling off like a masterpiece.
Oh, I agree. I really hope that it ends well. I hope that the third act is strong because, like I've said in the past, Mr. Nolan is a little bit guilty of having weak third acts.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that he can pull this together because I like his work. That's just something I've noticed in the past. So I'm hoping that this can maintain its greatness. We're so early into it.
Also, regarding the orgy scenes, apparently that was very hard to pull off.
Oh,
they
yeah.
need choreographers to be around there and just check out, okay, you stand here, you stand there. Everything was very meticulous in how it was placed.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting when you see something that mighty that you let that just pass by, the amount of detail that they had to work to put that into that.
It reminds me of things like Caligula and what's that other movie? Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah.
It's just kind of really crazy that they were able to pull it off, and it was pulled off in such a eloquent way. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, yeah.
Great show. You guys should definitely check it out. And we will definitely be doing more Westworld in the future. I think this is a show that definitely needs to be followed and looked deeply into. Each episode, I think, is worth a rewatch. And every time you watch an episode, I feel like you just learn a little bit more. I'm very curious about this maze.
You slowly become a better person and more self-aware.
And on that, we're going to cut the show to a close. I'm Shay Northrop.
I'm Jordan Giles. I hope you liked our improvised... Or not so improvised.
Our TV
show plots, and I hope that if we do get picked up on HBO or, ABC, whoever wants to take us, they really recognize the genius of a future chess world or a Puerto Rican kid
who realizes anarchy is really not that bad.
Felt so personal. I'm gonna have to say it again, but yeah, that was our show, guys. Until next time.
So if you liked our show, you can find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, GoldenStateMediaConcepts.com. And please, if you liked our show ideas and HBO and the TNA and all of you little companies, if you want to pick up our show, you can reach us at our Facebook page and Twitter page. So thank you.
GSMC Television Podcast. So please rate, review, subscribe, and stay saucy.
Stay saucy.
There we go.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.